Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable Live. It is me, as usual, Dalton Burdett, but I'm not with Nick Iricchio today. I'm actually with the amazing Kyler Verney. Kyler, how are you, sir?
Hey, happy to be here.
Great, great. We're glad that you're
We're
here.
happy to fill in for Nick.
Yes.
So.
And speaking of filling in for Nick, actually, he did send a message to everyone because he knew he wasn't going to be here today. So I did want to read his brief message to you guys. He's heartwarming. He likes to kind of send nice things to say. And this is directly from Nick. He said, I don't know why I do the fucking show. Fuck you guys who watch. You mean nothing to me. So luckily, he'll be back on Friday where he can fully address how he feels and can go that way. Of course, anyone knows I do that bit all the time whenever Nick is gone. He is, of course, happy to be here. And he's in the live chat, which is way funnier. So he probably heard that.
It sounds like I'm actually taking over as co-host. So
yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard as well. So, we're having a great time. We're having a great time. But guys, we have a very interesting show for you in that the Super Bowl happened yesterday, or the big game. Don't want to get sued. And naturally with that, there were a lot of movie trailers that played. A lot of them actually played before the game, which I thought was weird. But there were a few that we wanted to dive into and talk about on the show today and kind of just break them down and give our brief thoughts. First, there's only two that we're really, really going to break down, and those are the trailers for How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake, and the trailer for Thunderbolts, which personally, spoiler alert, I loved. But before that, Kyler, we also got new spots for several movies, but I just wanted to talk about a couple with you. One, a new look at F1, the new Brad Pitt Formula Racing film directed by the same director of Top Gun Maverick, with all real racing in it. It feels very visceral, kind of has that same feel as Top Gun Maverick had. Did you get a chance to see that teaser? And if so, what did you think about it?
I did. So you're saying that there's no CGI, that's all real?
Most of it is real, yes. It's just like how they did in Top Gun Maverick.
That's very, very cool, actually. No, I did watch it. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it was really short, right?
Yeah.
It was like 20 seconds and then like 10 seconds of just black with the logo of F1 on it. But I liked it. Brad Pitt, he's old, but he's still out there kicking. We have I really liked, I wrote this down. I really liked the shot where they just like had the camera inside of the vehicle and then it kept spinning back and forth to show what's happening with the car crash and
yes,
seeing his reaction and seeing all the other racers. I loved that. And then what else? Yeah, it didn't really give me anything else, so I'm not sure if it's going to entice too many people to watch it yet. I'm sure the longer trailer is going to be cool. It kind of felt like Ford v Ferrari to me too, a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And what I liked was it went back to like the very old school style of trailers of here's Brad Pitt, here's cars, see you at the movies. Like that was kind of the
exactly.
vibe. And, I'm ashamed to admit it worked on me. I will be going. So I just needed to see
I saw
Brad
a
Pitt
lot
in
of people in the comments actually talking about how they aren't going to watch it. Like it actually made them upset.
Really?
And I think the people in the comments were arguing about how it's supposed to be about something that actually happened. And then I did a little bit of research into it. Like I just Googled for half a second. It's not based on anything. And it's actually backed by F1. So it's going to be as accurate as possible because the people they're making it.
Yes. And what's also interesting too is the only setback that I'm aware that the movie had was the budget really ballooned while they were making it, especially after the strikes, because, making a movie like that's obviously very expensive when you're doing the real racing, and it being constantly delayed and having to kind of go back into production and all that. Like I've heard rumors that the budget ballooned to like $300 million. And if that's the case, like, man, you got some money to make if you want to make that money back. But,
that movie's never going to make $300 million.
Probably not. So we'll see. It would need to make like 650 like 700 million to like break even. So I don't see that happen. But
that's not gonna work.
It did look good. I want to see it. Nick is in the live chat. He said new dad movie incoming. You know it.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying generally it doesn't seem too exciting. I am going to watch it
Of
because
course.
Ford v Ferrari I loved. I think I was going 90 on the way home that night just from the action. And
Yes.
then you said it's directed by the guy who made Top Gun Maverick, which I saw in theaters 3 different times.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, same. I can't wait. And with that, going on to another trailer I wanted to briefly dive into was the trailer for Mission Impossible 8, or Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, or what it better be when we sit down and watch it, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. One of my favorite things in life is I got the 4K disc as soon as it was available for Part 1. So if they decide later on to go back into the streaming version of it and like change the title to like just Dead Reckoning, like I have the 4K that says Part 1, okay? I did the same thing with Wicked, because like the next one's gonna be called Wicked for Good. And I'm like, man, I need to get this 4K stat so that I have Wicked Part 1 like stamped like on my thing. So, the Library of Alexandria, my physical media collection. But the trailer for Mission Impossible 8, it wasn't that much different from the trailer they had released a few weeks ago, but you did kind of get more of a look at some of the just batshit stunts that Tom Cruise is doing, which was a given going into a Mission Impossible movie. But dude, like, the guy's in his 60s and he's hanging off of a propeller plane as it does flips. And I'm just like, man, like, can he die? Like, I'm convinced he can't die. Like, at this point, honestly. Like,
Look,
honestly.
we got that shot. We got him doing his iconic run.
Yep, of course.
We got him saying one last mission like 3 different times in the trailer. What more do you want?
Listen, I agree with you. And I honestly, there's never been a better commercial for Scientology than the Mission Impossible films. It's just like, look, our guy straight up won't fucking die. Like, he's just out there doing crazy stuff. But in all seriousness,
he's their messiah.
Yes, but like in all seriousness, I'm very excited for the movie. I liked the last film. I didn't think it was as good as the previous film, Fallout, which has been probably my favorite Mission Impossible film, other than 3. 3 absolutely rules. But when you were watching the trailer, did it move your excitement needle at all? Were you kind of like, how were you kind of feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, every Mission Impossible to me has gotten better than the last one, except for Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Gotcha.
So this one, I feel like if I could just watch a supercut of both of them put together, it's probably going to be better than Fallout. But right now, I'm just excited for them to finish up the story that was just, a bunch of loose ends in the Part 1. I loved the snow explosion. I loved the underwater shots, especially with all the bodies. I thought it looked amazing. I think Tom Cruise is just he's going to be very well missed whenever he stops making action movies, because no one else really does it like him.
Oh, for sure. And my theory for the movie, and I have no basis for this, but my kind of theory is they're marketing it as like the Final Reckoning. I have a feeling he's going to get like a Dark Knight Rises type of ending, where like to the rest of the world he's dead, but then like Simon Pegg is at a cafe in France and Tom Cruise is sitting over there, wink wink nudge nudge. Like I could sort of see them doing that, and that would pique my interest. That would be interesting to me. But now we're going to move on to the brunt of the shit, Kyler. We got to talk about the 2 main trailers I want to talk about, which to me were the best trailers that we had from the Super Bowl yesterday. To me. And I can't wait to get into it. But
I think we talked about the best trailers in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. There we go. See, there it is. That's why we bring fun guest stars on the show. But let's dive into the How to Train Your Dragon trailer, and I'm going to kind of bringing up some stills here too. First of all, I think visual effects wise, I think Toothless looks outstanding. Personally, what are your thoughts on that?
I will agree. I wrote down a bunch of notes about this trailer or the ad spot because it's pretty short.
Yeah,
that is one of the pros I have to give it. The dragons all look very well done. The CGI blends in really well with the on-location shooting that they did. So really excited to see that.
Yeah, no, same. And I have the still pulled up here of the famous recreation of the animated film when he turns away and reaches out his hand to touch him. It looks gorgeous. I am starting to get the vibe that this is going to be basically a shot-for-shot remake of the animated film, especially considering that the director of the animated film is directing this also. So that wouldn't shock me that, I could honestly see someone wanting to get ahead of like someone else doing a live action remake. So he's just like, I'll do it, and I'll just do the same thing and do it again. And I have mixed feelings about that, because I'm more of someone of, I'm very pro remake. I think but I also feel like if you're gonna remake something, like tell a new angle, tell something different, like have something to say with your remake. And and again, I haven't seen the movie. Maybe the shot-for-shot remake was the move, even if that is what it is.
You're saying it's the same director, right? And they got a lot of the same cast back, like what Gerard Butler's there. I'm assuming there's other people.
Yeah.
It's just, if I'm the director, right, and I made, in my opinion, one of the best trilogies out there, the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. Why would I be excited to make a live action remake of something that I put so much time and effort into, unless it's just for a paycheck? So that makes me feel like he doesn't really care. I mean, especially with the shots that a lot of them do look like one-to-one shots, right? The trailer itself is just showing a lot of the high octane, the climactic moments that you know and love from the original movie. So I don't think they're really trying to do anything different. I don't think they're trying to expand this to a new audience. I think they're just doing it for a cash grab to the audience that already knows and loves the original.
I don't disagree with you in that this is likely a cash grab, but I also would argue it in the same sense that every movie is kind of a cash grab. But from the point that you made about the same director, like not knowing why he'd come back unless it was to just kind of get the paycheck, I'm not sitting here suggesting that he is not going to get well paid. I bet he gets very, very well paid. However, Denis Villeneuve said something when he was asked why he directed Blade Runner 2049. Because he said the first Blade Runner was a huge film that he admired, and someone asked him, like, if that was the case, like if you had such a reverence for that film, why direct Blade Runner 2? And his answer was, because I didn't want someone else to do it and fuck it up. And I feel like that answer
that's just completely different, though.
It's not completely different because it's his
One
baby.
of them is a sequel telling a new story based on a continuation of the original. This is him doing a complete remake of a movie that he already himself did. So it's not like it's another director coming in and giving their own spin or their own take on the story. It's him just doing the same thing. So it just feels like a cash grab. And I know it is at the end of the day, and you could argue that for a lot of movies, but let's take A Star is Born by Bradley Cooper. He based it off of the movie that was based off of a movie that was based off of a movie based off of a book. And every single one is slightly different because it's all different people, different actors, different writers, different directors with their own spin. This isn't giving that. So it just felt very unnecessary.
And that's fair. And what you're saying is what I would prefer, like a new take, obviously staying true to the DNA of what the story is, but a new take, kind of telling an interesting version of that story. My argument just was, I could see the director doing it, the same director from the original, for the same reason of, well, if you're going to do a live action remake with or without me, might as well just do it with me, and then I can just give you what I gave you last time.
Yeah,
which yielded results.
That's fair. If they're going to do it without him, I guess get your paycheck, But
exactly.
I don't want him or anyone else coming out there acting like it's going to be some new crazy spin on it. It's not.
Right.
Also, looking at the trailer, the CGI was the best part. The costuming, makeup, and all that stuff, horrible.
Oh, I so disagree.
God.
Look at this. Look at this
bad.
shot. I got a great shot of the Viking costumes. I think they look great.
Yeah, it looks like cosplay. It looks like I walked into MegaCon.
No, I so hard disagree. I hard disagree.
You also like the live action Avatar Netflix show and One Piece costuming.
I didn't see One Piece. The costuming on Avatar could have been better, but I didn't hate the show, and I didn't think.
No, I'm talking about the costuming itself.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But at the same time, it wasn't horrible costuming. It's not like it looked like plastic.
It's so bad because why are you making live action and then not making it feel lived in? It feels like cosplay.
My argument there is we don't know how lived in it is because we've seen 10 seconds of it.
They're Vikings living in Northern Ireland.
I know, but I feel like once you watch a movie in full context, it will be very different. Like
We
the
saw
same
the
song and
shot-for-shot
dance.
remakes, though. I mean, it's obvious that they're just redoing an existing movie. So
Yes,
why not make it feel real and lived in?
I'm saying we don't know if it feels real or lived in because we haven't seen the movie. I think when you see the movie, you can make that argument because it's the same song and dance we see whenever a set photo comes out of the Superman costume. And you're like, wow, that looks like a fucking child's costume. But then you watch it in context of the movie with how it's supposed to be shot, how it's supposed to be lit, how it's supposed to be
I'm
color
glad
graded.
you brought
And it's
this
very
up.
different and it looks
The James
much
Gunn
better.
trailer with Superman. I
Yeah.
think the costume, it looks like Superman, like he was pulled out
Yeah.
of the comic books, but that's the point, and that's the feel, and that's the vibe that they're going for, and I think they successfully do it. I'm not saying that that looks like cosplay. That feels like it exists in the world that they're building. These characters, Astrid with the hair and Hiccup with his costume, it doesn't look like it belongs in the world that I'm seeing in the trailer. It looks like they are cosplaying
Fair.
characters in that trailer.
Fair. I guess if you're talking within context of in the world that they're giving me from this trailer, the vibes are off. It doesn't match. Fair, I'll give you that. But I would
And that's
also,
all I can base it off of.
and that's all you can base it off. Exactly. That's just kind of the point I was trying to make. But we got Nick in the live chat here saying perhaps he wants to pivot to live action, and it's a win-win. He gets to make a live action with material he's comfortable with, and studio makes money. That's exactly what I think is going on. And Nick said CW How to Train Your Dragon, so he's more on your side. Yeah, and he literally just
Nick,
put in a chat
that's
saying he's
very
on your side.
forgiving. That's very giving for the director. If he wants to make a live action movie, maybe make a new IP. Then don't just rip on the same thing for the next 20 years.
No, but I think the point he's saying is that it's a safe bet, which I think
know
is
yeah,
true.
which means how
Yeah.
good of a director is he really then? And then
I mean,
CW How to Train Your Dragon.
so many directors
I agree.
have made safe bets. Like being a good director doesn't mean you take risks all the time. People fail. Like look at Kevin Costner. How do you think he feels about American Horizon, the American saga? So it's just one of those things.
Sure.
Ryan Santo in the chat saying also on Calixer's side.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'll just live on this island by myself and I'll starve with Wilson. But before we go on to the next trailer, I wanted to pull up, it's not the best still because I paused it from YouTube, but I have the image of Hiccup and Toothless flying through the air. And I won't lie to you, I'll be very honest with you. Cut to the completely wrong thing, that's okay. I'll be honest with you, when the score hit, because dude, the score for How to Train Your Dragon is so fucking good. And like when the score hit and you saw him fly on the dragon, I got a bit hype. I was like, all right, they fucking got me. I know exactly what they're doing. They're manipulating me with the nostalgia, and it's working. It's working.
John Powell carries
hyped.
that movie with the music, 100%.
It's such a good score.
I feel like again this trailer it's showing the test drive song with the part where they bond and become one in the air. That's such a powerful moment in the movie, and it's earned in the movie. I hate that they showed it in the trailer because that, if anything, just confirms that they don't care about anything other than getting people like you and me who have already seen and loved the original in the seat.
And look, that's fair. And that's kind of why I was very much saying, like, though this is probably going to be a shot-for-shot remake because you wouldn't show that shot in the trailer if it wasn't that. You know what I mean? Like, if that was supposed to be a hidden moment that we didn't know about, it wouldn't be in there. Now, I would love to be proven so wrong where we go into this movie and it's completely different from the original, just with those beats that we've seen. I would love that. However, it's not what we're being sold to. But I would say if what we're being sold is, hey, here's a shot-for-shot remake of the original How to Train Your Dragon, I think it looks very good. That's all I'm saying. Like, if that's the product, the product looks good.
The CGI looks good. The on-location shooting is good. That's about all the good I can give it.
Well, that's fair. And I feel like the next trailer we're going to talk about is going to be even way more fun, which I'm personally excited for. And that is Thunderbolts, Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts. I'm going to be honest with you. I have always been team this movie, but I'm also team most Marvel things. I have a bias, I can admit that. But I'm also critical of things when I see them and they don't live up to, what they should have been, which is good, anything made for this amount of money. So I've always been pro this movie, and I love the first trailer. I got to see some footage at Comic-Con as well. But I'll go and then I'll throw it to you. I really love this trailer. I think this trailer is excellent. And I think it not only gives you a sense of what the movie is, I think it also gives you a sense of how they're making it different from something like a Suicide Squad, like things that are being gets compared to, which are natural comparisons. But I also think the biggest two questions, in-world questions you have to answer when you make this movie, especially when you establish that Sentry is going to be like the antagonist, is one, the fuck are the Thunderbolts going to do against Sentry? And they address it directly in the trailer, where characters literally say that. So I'm glad that they're at least going that route.
Can I cut you off for a second just to like ask you a couple questions about it? Not even comment on the trailer.
Yeah.
Just because and for people who are watching, I'm mostly anti-Marvel, so I don't know a lot of what's going on in this trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the bad guy, and is his power shadow magic?
So the bad guy ultimately is going to end up being Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, probably. She has a very, going into that comparison to Suicide Squad, she's very much the Viola Davis of that kind of part of the MCU. But Amanda Waller. But the character that you're seeing that's doing all that damage, it is a character that's both called Sentry and Void, or the Void. And in the first trailer, because you don't see him in that form in this trailer, when they break into something and Lewis Pullman's there and they're like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Bob." That's that character. And that character is, when he's Sentry, the superhero version of him, he's basically Superman. Like, nothing can stop him. He's unkillable, basically. But there's a dark part of him that, depending on the comic iteration that you read, it's a serum that he takes to become Sentry, but that serum also gave him a dark alter ego, a dark personality called Void, or the Void. And that thing is basically evil Superman, where it can kill you, like as you saw, and it can also project out the void. It's like when you see that blackness take over New York, that's
so it's Void.
Yeah,
stuff?
that's Void. And it looks like from the trailer, when the characters go into it, they're going to be faced with kind of like what their biggest fear is, kind of like with Scarlet Witch would mess with your head. Now, I don't know if they're going to call it Void in the movie, because you're already establishing to non-comic book reading audiences that the Void is that thing from Loki. It's that thing from Deadpool and Wolverine. It's that place that's in between universes that you get sent to. So I would be actually surprised if they end up still calling it Void in this, or if they are going to call it this, somehow go against comics and tie it to where like these voids are one and the same, just different parts of a different thing. Then I could see it happening. I think personally it would be a mistake to try to pitch both of these things as the Void, honestly. But
could you pull a Sentry? Could you pull a photo of him up? Just because I don't think in the trailer we even really see him. It's more of
you don't get to see the front
silhouette
of him, no.
And then his hand.
No, and while I'm pulling up a picture, I'll toss it over to you. But really quickly, I just want to say I really love the trailer, and I like that, especially if you've been catching up with where these characters are. And I think the movie is not going to make the mistake of assuming you have, like the Marvels did. But I think if you know where these characters are, you know that each one of them, what makes them different from Suicide Squad, is each one of them, all they really desire is just the approval of the public. They just want to be seen and forgiven for their past sins, which is why you have Bucky, which is why you have John Walker, which is why you have these people who've committed atrocities that they're ashamed of. And that's what I think makes it interesting as to why this dynamic can work. Anyway, I'm going to toss it to you while I pull up a picture of Sentry.
Well, I think you bring up a lot of good points. I don't really have too many negatives or positives for this trailer, to be honest, just because, again, I didn't really even know who the villain was until you just told me now that it's Sentry. I didn't really know what his magic was. There was a shot where you see a bunch of people running in the street and then they're just like being splattered into shadows. I thought that made me laugh because it just looked bad, and I also didn't understand what was happening. I think they're really going to be leaning on Florence Pugh. You can tell from that trailer alone, she had a lot of one-shots, and it seems like she's going to be the emotional ground for the movie. I don't know if that's the right play, the wrong play. I mean, they have a lot of strong actors in the movie, but it just seems very paint by numbers to me. It's here's a group of bad guys. There you have to do something good. Uh-oh, something else happens. I was really surprised and also really happy to find that there was no laser beam going from a building into space. So
Hey,
that is very good to me.
listen,
We're not
do
getting the
not talk
Ghostbusters
shit.
treatment.
Do not talk shit about sky beams, okay? I kind of missed the sky beams, actually. They were fun.
We're past sky beams, you know. I'm glad that we're over sky beams. I don't think it's going to be anything mind blowing in this movie. I don't think we're gonna watch it and be like, "Oh, I'm buying this on 4K," unless you'll probably get it because you have your collection. But
Yeah.
I don't think most people are going to remember this movie. I feel like it's going to be an Eternals type situation where that happened anyway. What's next?
So
I think they need. This movie comes out after Captain America, right?
yes, this comes out in May.
Cool. So I hope the new Captain America movie kind of puts Marvel back on track because, I feel like I'm not in the minority when I say that they've been off ever since Endgame ended. They haven't really known what to do. And I've watched a lot of the TV shows to try and keep up. It's just there's so much happening and there's no real direction. And I don't think this movie is going to do anything with that either. I don't see it tackling any larger Marvel themes.
That's fair. I have the picture pulled up of Sentry for you. This is a basic comic book look for him.
Wow.
And, obviously even this image evoking very Superman vibes. And when he's the Void, he looks basically like this, but much darker, much more evil. I do want to disagree with I did it again. I cut to the intro. I do want to disagree with you about one thing. And that is that, I think this movie kind of might blip off of the map and kind of go forgotten. I have a feeling, and this is just a funny feeling I have a feeling this is going to be like a Shang-Chi, where it comes out of nowhere. It's not one everyone's really expecting to be all that hype. And people are like, where the fuck did this come from? More of this. And then we're not going to see a sequel for 7 years, like with Shang-Chi. But I think that part of that is, and something that Nick actually pointed out in the live chat, and it's that there seems to be more hype for Thunderbolts than Captain America. And online, because I'm chronically online, unfortunately, that does seem to be the vibe of people are like, I kind of just want to get to this movie. Like, they're kind of over-marketing Captain America 4 at this point, which I feel bad about. And I think it's because of the reshoots that movie went through. Now, granted, the average audience doesn't know about that, but the core audience, the ones that are chronically online, they all know that this movie, that Captain America 4 went through a lot of reshoots. So we're kind of like, I hope it's good, but, who knows where ways this, the talent behind this movie as well. It's written and by people who worked on Beef, I believe, and I believe it's directed by the same director of Beef. And
I know Beef got a lot of hype when it came out.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I watched the first couple episodes. It just didn't capture me, so I didn't keep watching. But if he's directing and you said writing too,
yeah, he's co-writing,
then maybe people will like it more. I don't think it's gonna flop like the first Suicide Squad, but I don't think it's gonna be as successful as the second Suicide Squad.
Hey, the first Suicide Squad made almost $1 billion. That was not a flop, but it's
you know what I mean, though. I'm
I
talking
know
about
what
the
you
public
mean.
eye.
I know what you mean. But going to a couple stills from it here, theory that I have, and I didn't come up with this. I saw it online. The first still I have up here is Bucky sitting in the courtroom during Julia Louis-Dreyfus's testimony. Is he a congressman? I'm wondering if, I'm serious. Is Bucky Barnes in office, or why is he at this hearing? He could very much so be at this hearing because, she is trying to, legitimize her mission of getting this team together. And so having an Avenger be there, maybe that's it.
I think he's just going to be there to, be like a character witness type of thing, if anything.
That's fair. And that's fair. Although I do think that, Red Guardian being in this, I'm very excited about. It's another still I have pulled up. I thought the Black Widow movie was fine. I thought he was one of the best parts of the Black Widow movie. And I love David Harbour's performance, and I think he's going to be the heart of this movie. I have a big feeling about that. I think that Nick put in the live chat that Ghost ain't making it out of that first fight. Or no, that Taskmaster ain't making it out. I agree. I think here's what I think, Nick. I'm going to give myself the single here. I think either Taskmaster dies right away, or Taskmaster is a character that's not the same Taskmaster from the first movie, but a character from a different movie, maybe Rachel Weisz's character from Black Widow, and they aren't revealing that, and they're editing her out of other shots because she's not wearing the mask in those shots. Because all the only shots we get are also of Taskmaster in the mask. So I think either they die, or it's someone else under the mask that we're not used to being under there, and that's what's going on. That's kind of my tinfoil theory there. But yes,
That's I agree with that. That sounds right.
thank you.
That's gonna be my theory too now.
Pulling up some other stills here. I'm just pulling up Florence Pugh just because I can, and it's allowed. And we love Florence Pugh here, and I think she's also going to be, like you mentioned, like the heart of the movie, and I think that's a good choice because I think she plays a great character, and there's a lot of interesting dynamics there. Here's a still where the Void literally rips fucking Bucky's arm off, which I thought was pretty awesome. Also a big fan of the
I had a
arm going in the
question about that.
dishwasher.
I saw him rip his arm off, and I was like, oh. Like, I didn't think much of it because the way it looked, it kind of reminded me of an action figure, when it just pops off. He can take off his arm, right? Like, that's not a hard thing to do.
He
right?
can, but I imagine not like that. It's kind of like when you hand somebody a bottle, and that's clearly not a twist off, and someone takes their bare hands and twists it off, and like that like that hurt, like you saw it, like you're like, that's not supposed to be open that way. So either your hand is bleeding, or you have a past that you did not disclose when we met. So like I feel like it just kind of hurt in that way. Another still I have up here is John Walker with what I'm assuming is his child, and it's when he's looking at the news story about the news report on him. And his storyline was one of the really good things about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That show had a lot of good going for it. Just the main villains of the main story were incredibly boring and forgettable. But I thought that him and his storyline really worked. And kind of seeing all of these characters, again, just want that approval from the public, where unlike a Suicide Squad, they're just villains. And if they don't do it, there's a device in their head that will kill them. That's, a different type of motivation. Whereas in this one,
I think I missed it for a second. Where's this guy from?
He is from The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was the guy
like the one show I skipped.
Yeah, he is. So in that show, Falcon at the time, who's now Captain America, Anthony Mackie's character, he has the shield from Steve, but ultimately decides, I don't know if I'm ready for this, and he kind of gives it to a museum and is like, you guys should have it. I don't know if I'm ready to like be Captain America. That's a huge responsibility. And so they were like, all right, fuck it. And they just like took it. And then he later found out that immediately after he did that, the US government hired this guy to be the new Captain America. And his name is John Walker. And in the comic books, he plays a character. It's John Walker from the comic books. He plays a character who eventually becomes to be known as U.S. Agent, which he gets that suit and kind of moniker at the end of that show. But in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when you meet him, he's a very well-meaning person. He is kind of thrust this responsibility. He's like the quarterback, all-star, good old boy who's been given Captain America, and he's like, oh my God, like this is a huge deal. But no one wants him to be Captain. Like no one likes him. Like no one's like, everyone's just like, no, when it happens. And that eventually gets to him, and eventually I believe he takes some version of the super soldier serum that really messes him up, and he ends up, spoilers for the show, but he ends up killing somebody like publicly in the suit, like murders a terrorist. And it's very graphic. And so that kind of immediately puts him in the conversation of like, why did we give this guy Captain America? And that's what kind of leads Anthony Mackie to this idea of like, Steve gave it to me for a reason. Maybe I should take that moniker back. And he does. And that's and that part of the story, really great, really interesting. The people they're going up against, like, it's one of those shows where there's so much good in it. And it's honestly, it's not a bad show. People give it a bad rap. It's not a bad show. But every time they get to the main villains, you're like, I'm so uninterested in you. Like I just give me any other storyline that's happening, and like I'm good, But off topic, but that's who he is, and every character that we see, like David Harbour's character from Black Widow, Florence Pugh's character from Black Widow, Taskmaster Ghost, these are all people again who just want to get that recognition, that catharsis for their apology. And same with Bucky. Honestly, Bucky more than anybody, because he was brainwashed and a murderer for decades. And, that's the dynamic that I find really intriguing about this movie that I think could work. And I think they're definitely not making out of it alive. Obviously, Nick and I think Taskmaster's probably dead. I think you could even get really, really emotional and kill one of the big players, whether it be a John Walker or a Red Guardian. I think that would really work. Will Marvel have the balls to do that? Probably not. But, I think it'd be an interesting thing to do for that story. When you mentioned, like, it looking bad, like when they shadow the people onto the floor.
I mean, if you want to pull it up. And
that's what I'm trying to do.
I watched it in normal speed, and then I was like, what was that? And then I rewound it and put it in 0.25.
Uh-huh.
It looks bad. But again, it's Marvel, and they don't care about their CGI artists, so that's
what? You have a point there. But in defense of it, I'm having a hard time pulling up a still, but in defense of it, the vibe that I got from it was the atom bomb shadow. Like, they're just gone, and like that's what's left, like the shadow. And
yeah, that's why I thought he had like shadow magic.
Yeah.
I didn't know who this guy was, and people are just being decimated into the ground.
Now, did it look odd? I'll give you that. It did. But I'm hoping it either gets refined or in context it looks better. I will say it does look like I personally color graded the film. Lots of blue. Big fan of the blue. But yeah, personally, I gotta say, I'm stoked for this movie. That's no surprise. We actually have a live chat from, I'm going to see if I read this correctly, Mary Claire Olive, who says, I'm so excited for all the love Lewis Pullman is going to get. He deserves it, especially after his performance in Lessons in Chemistry. Yes, so I have not seen Lessons in Chemistry yet, but honestly, where I'm huge on Lewis Pullman is his amazing role. This is the guy that's playing Sentry, by the way, Kyler.
Okay.
I love, and Nick just brought it up, he's so good in Bad Times at the El Royale. He plays the bellhop. And that movie, one, is super underrated. And his role as the bellhop in Bad Times at the El Royale, when he's kind of just this under the radar, trying to not recognize what's going on guy, and then at the end, stepping up and like doing what he needed to do, I thought was such a great performance.
I love Bad Times at the El Royale. So
yes,
I didn't realize that he was I didn't realize that he was Sentry. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and Nick also mentioned that he was in Top Gun Maverick, and he's also Bill Pullman's son, I believe. Bill Pullman is the president from Independence Day who makes that amazing speech. So it's such a good speech. Like it will always be good.
One of the best speeches.
And fun fact, actually, the original actor for Sentry was going to be Steven Yeun, which makes sense given the beef connection. But he dropped out because the movie got delayed several times, not just from the strikes, but from this was one of the movies that happened right when Bob Iger came back and then gave Kevin Feige his power back. And then he was like, all right, time to clean house with what we got going on. And so a lot of delays happened, and eventually, like, a lot of Steven Yeun's time was being taken up with like, oh, hold on, we're going to shoot this month, and oh, nope, we're going to shoot this month, and oh, nope, we're going to shoot this month. And he basically just had to go to Marvel and be like, guys, I'd love to work with you in the future, but like I can't keep turning down these projects if we're going to keep delaying it like this. Like that's pretty much just what it came down to. And I don't blame him. But yeah. Guys, with all of that trailer talk down, it is the beginning of the week show, which means, as you know, it is time for the box office. Office. I like that. I like what you did there. Now, before we go over to it here, normally at this point in the show, we would go over the predictions that we had last week. I'm going to give myself the single here. Guys.
I can guess real quick if you tell me what the movies were.
Hey, give me what 1 through 5 was, and I'll give you my 1 through 5.
Tell me what movies came out in the last week. Does I'm Still Here count? Was that the a theatrical release for them, or
it was when it went wide?
Okay.
It was when it went wide.
Dogman was still out.
Dogman was still out. Companion was still out.
Companion. Okay. Okay.
And
I think Dogman was number 1.
okay.
Companion 2.
Okay.
I'm Still Here 3.
Okay.
Those are all the movies I know that were out.
You also saw the release of Love Hurts and Hard Eyes.
Oh, I thought that comes out this weekend.
Nope, came out last weekend.
Okay. I think those are 4 and 5, and I think they're going to make more money this weekend since it's Valentine's Day.
Close, but no cigar. It actually wasn't all that close. But listen, they'll probably make some money on Valentine's Day. This is also Captain America week, so Godspeed to the rest of the box office. But and as I was going to say, this is normally when I would kind of go over the predictions that we had. Guys, I'm going to be real with you and cut to my single here. Nick is a very valuable member of this team, and he is the one who does all of that stuff and has it safely stored away. Is it in a place where he's definitely sent me a link and said, hey, anything you need is in here? Absolutely, 100%. Did I click said link to go into this, to check and make sure that I was prepared for the show? Absolutely not. And this is actually great because I was stalling for him to put it in the chat, and he did. Thank you, buddy. You got my message. Apparently, my predictions were Hard Eyes, Dogman, Companion, One of Them Days, Love Hurts. I was wrong. And here were the actual, and Nick's were Hard Eyes, Dogman, Love Hurts, One of Them Days, Companion. Also wrong. Now let's go into the actual box office. We're wrong all the fucking time. That's no surprise to anybody. So, coming in number 1 was Dogman, a repeat, even though it dropped 62% in week 1 to week 2. Coming in second was Hard Eyes, in third Love Hurts, in fourth Mufasa, staying in the top 5, which has now passed Sonic domestically. It was already past it worldwide. And Companion came in fifth. One of Them Days just dropped into 6th place. And let's dive into these numbers a little bit more, shall we? Dogman has made $66 million worldwide on a production budget of 40. So it's at 1.7 times that budget. It's going to have to at least get to 2.5, close to 3 to get profitability. So it has a while to go, especially with the competition this weekend. But it might just lose money or just break even, depending on how much they spent on marketing and everything. Hard Eyes has only opened domestically, but it's opened to $8 million on a budget of 18. So it's at 0.5 times the production budget. It does have an uphill battle, which, guys, I really love this movie. I thought it was adorable and fun and creepy. Go watch it. It deserves to make money. But this is something, Kyler, that you mentioned. It could make more money this weekend. Yes, Captain America's coming out, but this is also amazing counter-programming for people who don't give a shit about Captain America. This is excellent pre-programming, or not pre-programming, counter-programming for people, especially given its Valentine's Day theme. Let's hope it can make some money. Love Hurts made $6 million worldwide so far. It opened to 5.8 domestically. And it also made it a budget of $18 million. It's at 0.4 times the budget. With the reviews this is getting, this is probably the end for Love Hurts, which is unfortunate. You hate to see movies fail. But it did fail oh so spectacularly. Mufasa, The Lion King, and that at $671 million worldwide on a budget of 200. That's 3.4. It's in profitability. Honestly, good for them. Good for Barry Jenkins. If anyone deserves a Disney check, it is Barry Jenkins. Get that money and run and make so many independent films, you lovely, lovely man. Next is Companion, which now has $26 million worldwide. It was made on a budget of 10, which means it's at 2.7 times the production budget. It's in profitability.
They made the movie on $10 million?
Companion was made on $10 million, good sir.
That's wild.
That's what you call good financial sense. We love it. We love to see it. We love to see it.
It was done pretty well for being only $10 million.
It was. It really was. I also want to take a look at One of Them Days because we have exciting news regarding that. It has now reached just under $40 million domestically, 39 on a budget of 14. It's at 2.8. One of Them Days officially profitable. And I think that movie's deserving. It's very unique, very original, and it's a comedy. We don't get a lot of theatrical release comedies anymore. Glad to see that it's made its money. Good for them. I think it'll even do really well on streaming also. Let's see. What else is fun to look at? You want to see how bad Flight Risk is doing?
Sure. What's that?
The new Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson movie.
Oh.
$34 million worldwide on a budget of 25. So 1.4. Womp womp. Again, you hate to see movies fail, but just from the trailer and Mark Wahlberg's baldness, like I'm like, this movie's not going to be successful. Like when I just saw the trailer. Nick mentions in the live chat, literally just got Love Hurts, not great. Shame. Let's see here. Let's look at Sonic's final number, because that's kind of ending its theatrical run. 472 million worldwide, budget of 122, 3.9, almost 4 times the budget. Damn.
Amazing. Can't wait for Sonic 4.
Listen, they should keep making them if they keep making money like this.
Sonic, come on.
Sonic, yes. All right, Nick, wherever you are in the universe, I want you to hear my predictions for next week. Hear ye. Call me crazy, Kyler. I think Captain America's open in number 1.
Personally, I can make that concession. I think you're right.
Personally, I don't remember what else is opening against it, if there is anything opening against it. Hold on. I'm going to type this in. Kyler, distract them with fancy words.
Hard Eyes is going to be number 2. And
you
then
think so?
Captain America is going to sneak up and be number 3
shit.
Well as number 1.
Damn it.
It's number 4 too?
No, that's funny.
Oh.
Paddington in Peru also opens.
Paddington comes out this week?
Yep.
Oh, that's number 1.
I'm not sure about that. But
it's number 2 if it's not number 1.
Yeah, no, it's number 2. Captain America is going to be number 1. I'm going to go Paddington number 2. Fuck it. I got to go Dogman number 3. It's been performing. Dogman number 3. Actually, you know what? No. Fuck
it's
that.
It's going to be Hard Eyes, then Dogman.
You're right. I'm going to go Hard Eyes because all the kids have already seen Dogman. They're going to go to Paddington.
And
Hard
all
Eyes,
the
number
adults
3.
are going to go out on a date night and not bring their kids with them.
You know what? I'm going to do one better. I don't think Dogman... I think it's out. I think it's going to be Captain America, Paddington in Peru, Hard Eyes, Mufasa Companion.
You think Mufasa is going to be number 4?
Dude, it's been in the top 5 for like 8 weeks. It just keeps staying in there, You know what Mufasa is right now?
Companion, then Mufasa.
Fair. I wish, and it might be, there's only $1 million difference, but we'll see. Companion did take a 68% drop from week 1 to week 2, though. That's the only concern. Now, Nick put his in the chat. Captain America, Paddington, Dogman, Hard Eyes, Mufasa. Okay, interesting. We'll note that for the next show. The question, it really is going to be... I'm going to throw this to you, Kyler. And by the way, when I say this, I don't mean this as this is the only measure of success for a film. I just want to get Kyler's thoughts. Will Captain America 4 make $1 billion?
Will it make $1 billion?
Yes, like overall when it's done.
Oh man, I don't have this data off the top of my head, but let's say the last 5 Marvel movies, have they all crossed $1 billion?
Deadpool did.
Deadpool did? That's the only one.
Well, I'd have to remember the 5 movies. Marvel's definitely didn't. And then also in 23 was... Oh man, what came out in 2023?
I feel like if Deadpool crossed $1 billion, I feel like that's an exception, I'm just gonna say no. I don't think it's gonna cross $1 billion.
Okay, so 2023 was Ant-Man and the Wasp, did not make $1 billion. Guardians, which got to 800 but did not make $1 billion, and the Marvels, which just didn't do well financially. Period.
Guardians didn't make $1 billion.
I think it made 800 million.
Captain America without Steve Rogers is not making $1 billion.
Fair. I think that's a fair assessment. My projection is I think it'll end up around the 700 million range. 800 if it's good. If it's a really good movie, 800. But yeah, I think it's going to come slightly under $1 billion. Now, Thunderbolts, I don't think we'll get there based on just it's all of the C-list characters. But if the film is great, like if the movie is like Winter Soldier, Civil War level good, it could get there. Now, Fantastic Four, if Fantastic Four is good, I think it will, if it's good. I think it will.
genuinely don't know why we keep making these Fantastic Four movies.
Because they haven't been done right yet until now, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Surely there must be another superhero to make a movie about.
Surely, diving into history. So Nick put in his own predictions. He's saying, dude, $550 for Captain America? Bro, I think that's so low.
I say $786 for Captain America.
Yeah. $700 for Thunderbolts. I could see that happening with word of mouth. I agree. Nick, if you can hear this, I know there's a bit of a delay. If Fantastic Four is good, if it's good, does it cross $1 billion? If it's good. We will now allow 10 seconds.
If it's good, will Fantastic Four cross $1 billion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so too. Nick says people don't yearn for the leader like they used to. Buddy, I agree. I'm stoked for the fucking leader. By the way, I see this Captain America movie quite soon, and I'm very, very excited about it. Nicholas says, Doctor Strange 2 numbers. Oh, you think Fantastic Four would go 900? Oh, that's so close, though. Oh. Okay.
No, I think it crosses it. If it's a good movie.
If it's good. Yeah, if it's good. Okay, fair. Well, guys, that is the show today. Thank you so much for coming on to the Movie Nights Roundtable. Kyler, we loved having you. I'd love to have you on again sometime. This is assuming you don't accept the role as the new full-time host, considering Nick hates everybody. But
I was going to be here on Friday, right? That's the next live show?
Yep.
Nick's out.
He's done. For forever, basically. Yeah. It's over. Yet another job gone for him. Sorry. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.